No, in Mendham, I don't think you do understand the word subjective. And it's like the word logic, people use the word logic and they just want common sense. And a logical argument is just any old good argument. But that's not what logic means. Logic does mean something specifically, and it's important to realize that the logic is the syntax of an argument and not the content of its principles. That's important. If you don't understand it, that's your problem. Now, if you're like Wukhtar and you want to define a method that basically is a skeptical, subjective method of getting knowledge, but you want to call it objective, fine, that's your problem. I'm not going to call it objective because it's not, because if you make technical definitions of these terms, then you'll see the distinctions. If you just sit back and go, well, no, I could make a technical definition, but I won't, well, then you're not addressing the question. You're just using the word because it's a bunch of sounds you like, and you're attaching it to an idea you like. If we're using this for actual analysis, then yes, it matters. Now, with subjective and objective, you have a grain of truth to it, right? Subjectivity implies bias, and objectivity implies that there is no bias. Well, here's the thing. People have bias. They are subjective. If you call them objective, that doesn't remove the bias. That doesn't remove the bias. You are applying a word, objective, that doesn't apply, and it won't remove the bias. It is of utmost importance that we realize that the bias has to be removed. There is no way to knowledge without introducing the bias. We have to subtract the bias. We have to do a kind of image processing on our own thoughts to subtract out bias. And the way to do that is to know what your biases are. And that's why we admit that we're subjective, and we admit that we're building objectivity out of subjectivity. So we remember that we always have to remove the bias, that there always be some element of bias that is open to being questioned. Now, if you don't understand that, or you don't like the terms, you just want to use your own common sense idea, well, look at the fucking world around you, okay? That's the world that was built on these common sense ideas that are just hanging out around you. So pick those up and build the same goddamn world again.